Hello, everybody. This is JCK, and I've had this channel for just over 12 months now, and I've met so many people all over the world. And I have to say that in about these last 12, 13 months, one of the most interesting people that I've had the pleasure of talking to, and I've had long conversations with him, is a wonderful man from Canada named Ian Clark, and I want to introduce you to him. So here he is. Hi, Ian. How are you?
Hey, JC. I'm doing very well.
It's early morning there and it's late night for me, but you're always up really early, and you and I have spoken. We've had a few long conversations, and it's honestly, I could talk to you for hours and hours. I usually have to stop, but Ian, and when you appeared on camera just now, I was like, whoa, in just like a few days, you look like you've gone even younger. Every time I speak to you, you look healthier and healthier. So Ian, I wanted to invite you onto the show because I'm interested in people who've dramatically taken charge of their lives and changed their life completely and taken charge of everything and almost taken charge of their own system of things. Okay. And a person who lives in a holistic way, mind, body, spirit, and talks the talk and walks the walk. So I wanted you to come on and tell everyone your story and to share with everybody your journey and what happened to you many years ago, because you were a very different person than you are now that we've got in front of us. So tell me all about you and what you've been doing and your beautiful story. So
Yeah, well, the situation right now is really great because I can say that everything has been stabilized tremendously, because it was extremely unstable about 16, 17 years ago. And when I turned 46, I had a very unhealthy body sitting underneath me, and I didn't even realize how unhealthy I was until my health hit the wall and a whole bunch of stuff showed up all at once. And it involved a personal bankruptcy. So I was kind of like bankrupt in every respect.
wow.
And it starts like spiritual, mental, emotional, and then the physical. And when the physical showed up, that was the biggest shock, because you can see everything then. Right? It's like, yeah, there's nowhere to hide at this point. Something is dramatically wrong. What is it? And what I've found today now, reflecting back, because at the time you're scrambling, you're like, what is up? You know, all these things are coming out. You're getting diagnosed by doctors with heart disease, and they tell you you have cancer and all this stuff. And I didn't receive any of the diagnosis, because I knew that they couldn't tell me after many questions over a long period of time, asking them why I had what I had, because that's really the most important thing. It's not what now, it's why. And they couldn't tell me. They just could tell me their fix.
Right.
So that was showing me how much I didn't know. Because I can point my fingers out at everybody else and say, oh, it's because of this and because of that. And my thing, I had been programmed from a little boy to figure out how to blame everything else.
Right. Yes. Right? Yeah.
There's all the programming, which I didn't even know was running in the background. Yeah. It's like this little weaselly thing. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look like I'm the one at fault. I want to blame everything. And I'm a victim. I'm a subject to these situations. And as I hit the wall, I'm like, I think it might be me. Mm-hmm. Wow. But everybody kept saying, oh, no, don't worry about that. Don't blame yourself. That's not good. My brother was a medical doctor for 30 years. And he had 11 doctors working in a clinic that he owned. Plus he was a major GP. So he saw thousands of different people come to the clinic. And he spoke with me, of course, about these problems. He wasn't my doctor, but the doctors who were in Toronto, so he was living up in North Bay, the doctors in Toronto were supposed to be some of the best doctors in the world. And he's like, no, you got to listen to them because it's genetic predisposition. Yeah. These are the cards you're dealt.
Mm-hmm. It's just something that happens to you, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so there's really nothing that I could do about it.
Yeah.
I would just have to follow the procedures. These are very common things. They're as common as ever. You know, guys in their mid-40s die of heart attacks and, and cancer and all that stuff. And it's not what you're eating. It's not what you're doing. He said, remember, you look like Uncle Don. And Uncle Don was on my mom's side. And I did. It kind of looked like Uncle Don.
Yeah.
I didn't really take after my dad as much. And he died at 51. And my Uncle Bob died at 54. 2 days before my Uncle Don in the same year in September 78, when I was 20 years old. So I remembered that very vividly. Yeah. You know, that kind of thing when it happens in your family, it was so unusual because one was diagnosed a year before.
Yeah.
One was diagnosed 3 months before, both of terminal cancer. They both did exactly what the doctors told them to do. They both died on time. One couldn't be helped at all. He was so far gone. The other one went through all the surgeries and the chemo and the radiation. But the end result was a funeral.
Yeah.
And I thought, here I am. I'm younger. I'm in really bad shape. I've got all these things growing in my system. I've got obvious heart problems for, you know, a bunch of reasons. And so they're telling me all these things they want to do. And I'm like, hey, this is rerun. But we're in 2004 now, not 1978.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. But it was only 26 short years. And it seemed like a moment ago that 1978 was happening. So thankfully, one of these things that was growing in my body, one of the tumors I had, was in between my legs, all around my reproductive system, you know, up against the prostate. I didn't have prostate cancer, but it was a tumor that was connected to my colon.
Wow.
And so it was growing, and it was a super ridiculous, terrible thing. Every heartbeat, you could feel it. It was continually growing. They warned, it's going to do this if you don't get it cut out. Wow. And I didn't want to get it cut out early on. And it took 5 years for that to take out of my body naturally.
Wow. So you didn't get it cut out? Wow.
No, okay. I had no, sir. I actually got away from the doctors because when my brother kept saying that it was not my fault, I kept saying, no, I think I'm responsible for everything. I think it's everything I'm thinking, saying, doing, acting, reacting, what I'm eating. And it turned out that was to be 100% true, because I didn't understand how my body worked. I didn't realize that if you have a lot of heavy metals, if you've got mold or fungus that has gotten to your system, or you have yeast overgrowth, or you're not sleeping deeply, or you're not managing your stress. And I didn't even know what detoxing was.
Wow.
You know, kind of always allopathic. I was the youngest out of 5. I was always taught, you go to the doctor, you do what you're told. Yeah. They're the authority. You go to the dentist, you let them drill your teeth out. You know, you do all these things. That's what you do.
You're obedient.
And you don't question.
Yeah, yeah, you don't question. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because they went to university. They are trained. And so what I found out is that I truly did not understand how to govern my life. I was very unstable. I mean, everywhere I touched or stood, it felt like there was big cracks and breakage underneath me. And so then I started learning from real people, just slowly, because when you're that far gone, you are desperate. I'm like 46 with 7 children, yeah. Right? With a wonderful wife.
1 year older than me. That's what you were. You were 1 year older than me, and you were right. Literally at the breaking point of almost dying. I can't even think, like, I'm 45 and I'm like, I have barely lived my life. So that's right. So many, and my father died when he was only 52 of cancer, and it was the same story. It's like, yeah, it's like, just do what the doctors say. And right. They'll fix you, and it happened to you, and all of that sort of stuff. So it's such a young age for this to happen, and yeah, and now you're saying that it took that long basically for you to learn that it was your fault, essentially, mm-hmm. and that you had to take responsibility. And this is what I love about your story, because it's not just about the body. You're literally right. saying it's everything. It's the way we're thinking. It's the way you're governing. It's the way you're spiritually aware of every single thing you're doing. And this is what's going to take to change our entire health and our health system and our path in life. So keep talking, because I just love listening to you. And in every sentence that you say, there's always this wisdom that comes through. And I want everyone to know about how you completely turned your life around in just a very short space of time, where you were on the brink of death, really.
That's right.
Just more.
And so what my request was, in the deepest prayer I could pray, was to, if I could be led to people who actually know, because they must exist. You know, I woke up one morning and I thought, you know, there are people on this earth who will know the top level of information. You know, there's going to be everything underneath that too, but there's going to be a top level of information that I can rely on someone who knows the most about digestive health or the best about detox. And I didn't have time to do research. What I found out is I could research the researchers who had spent lifetimes of understanding each human operating system, whether it was respiratory, circulatory, digestive, and so on. And there's so many systems running together, and that everything, a chain is as strong as its weakest link.
Yeah.
And I was on a timeline. I did not have time. So I thought, if I could, by grace, meet these people, I will listen. I will do whatever it takes. If I have to suffer, so be it. If I have to have a lot of fun, so be it. If I've got to spend a lot of money and time and energy, so be it. I was open, because there's no way to go but up at that point. And the entire foundation I was standing on was full of gaps and cracks. It was a terrifically weak foundation, but I knew I had genetic strength. Even though my uncles died in their 50s like that, my mom today is still alive at 99 with health and mental health as well. As
I've heard her, and
you know,
she's 99. I've heard her when we've spoken. I think she was in the background. 99. Wow.
Yeah, she was 99 in May of 2021.
Yeah.
So in 2020, she was born May 14th, 1922. And so, and her mom lived till 103 without even really paying attention to her health, and was really healthy. The only reason she died at 103 was because she fell and bruised her hip, didn't even break it. And she had never had drugs in her body. Like my mom and my grandma had never even smoked a cigarette or drank alcohol ever in their life, because of the lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And they gave her some morphine, and within 2 days she passed away.
Wow.
You know, so, but she was happy to go. She lived a long life. But she was just, it was just one of those things that I knew was there. And something very weird happened in grade 1. When I was in grade 1, when 6 years old, right?
Yeah.
I was sitting in a class of about 31 people, and we had a Japanese woman teacher. She was just this short little Japanese. She was really great. And about halfway through the year, she taught us about statistics, which made me become interested in that word. And she said, to explain statistics to you in the classroom, the way it works is this. Certain number of people of you in the classroom are going to be die by you're 35 years old. Certain number are going to be dead at 45 and 55 and all the way up. And one person in this room is going to live till 100. And I wasn't thinking anything about anything other than what she was talking about. And a little kid to my left named Marty looked over at me and he goes, "You're the one that's going to live till 100, which was weird. I looked at him like, what? And then the girl to the right of me, I don't remember her name, but she said, "You're right. You're the one that's going to live till 100. So I just went, okay, I don't know, right? And so I always had that in the back of my mind my whole life, even like getting so sick in my 40s. I thought, is it possible? Maybe that wasn't the truth. And I really referred back to grade 1.
Yeah.
And then as I, lived my life, I saw my grandma live till over 100. Now my mom will turn 100 in another, 6 months, 7 months. And so it's just an exciting time to know that there was something possible and that there was a way that longevity could be achieved. So I thought, if I've done if I'm in this shape, am I able to find out what caused it? Am I able to then stop that from continuing on? Because, it's like a farmer sowing seeds in his field. He's going to reap a harvest at one particular point.
Yeah.
And then he's going, if he's not tending to the field, or if he sows the wrong seeds, he's going to reap that too. Yeah. There's irrevocable laws in the universe.
Yeah.
You will reap whatever you sow. It's irrevocable. And I was reaping this exceptionally ugly harvest. And I had no choice but to reap it entirely. And at the same time, start planting very healthy seeds that would allow me then to have a good harvest. So it's a really tenuous situation, because the last thing you want to do when you're sick and dying is you just want to lay down. The last thing you want to do is work.
Yeah.
But guess what, buddy? Like you either get up and you start taking action and start learning and be humbled and call a spade a spade. It is your problem. It's your responsibility. Yes, there are people out there. And yes, you're going to suffer for a while. And you're going to have to learn. And my body, what I found out, JC, is that my body was running my life. I wasn't running my body. My body was running my life. And my body is like a temperamental child. It had food addictions. It wanted this, it wanted that. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And when I tried to stop my body from having those wrong foods, like, you know, a number 4 at Wendy's up in Canada. I don't know if you guys have anything like that there, but yeah, whatever. So it's addictive food. It has chemicals in it. I didn't know anything about that. All I knew is when I tried to stop those things, I was at a stage in my life that my stomach would turn on to a wolf and my head would pound with migraine headaches.
Wow.
So I thought, whoa, what's with this? Because I was actually going to die if I didn't stop.
Wow.
And so I succumbed to my body for about 2 or 3 weeks, trying to fight it off. And then finally I realized, hold it. I'm going to fire my body. It's fired. It's so fired. I'm going to take it right out of the CEO position here. It can never go back in there again. And if it wants to get into a scrap with me, I am game. And boy, did it ever. It fought. My body literally fought. I would just say to it, oh, is that all you got? Oh yeah, you got a tummy ache now. Oh, you got a headache. Poor little boy. And I treated it like a spoiled child until it totally subjected to my control. It took about 3 weeks. And that means cutting off every single thing that it wanted to do. And then learning the things that were just, I didn't know it. I didn't know anything. I didn't know about eating super clean. I just stopped eating whatever that junk food was.
Yeah.
And no, I'm not invincible. Yes, I do need to have good rest. Yes, I better find out how my human operating systems work.
Wow.
It was a disaster. I mean, every part of my being looked horrible. And my son took a picture of me back in that day. I thought, first of all, I thought it was just out of shape. This is before I realized how sick I was. So I go, well, you know, I could exercise and I'll get in shape. So I took my shirt off and he took a picture of me out in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And when I saw that picture on the screen from the, you know, an old Hitachi digital camera, I couldn't believe the image I was looking at because cameras are merciless.
Yeah.
And I didn't even recognize who that was. I thought, well, that's not who I am. There's somebody inside there who I really am.
Yeah.
And they got buried under a whole bunch of whatever that is. I was so embarrassed with that picture. I thought, take that off. Like it stayed in the hard drive. And I never showed anybody, I said, nobody will ever see that picture. I just want to become who I actually am again. You know, like, you know, you are when you're 21 to 25 years old.
Yeah. Yeah. So what led to that? Because from what I understand, I mean, for you to, I mean, what you're describing is what most 40-something-year-olds are at this stage in the Western world, right? They're toxic. They're overweight to obese. Okay, so we've got 2/3 of the population in most Western countries are overweight to obese or morbidly obese. Mm-hmm. They're toxic and full of toxins. They're living on junk food, stimulants, what have you. They're not sleeping well. They usually got sleep apnea. There's all of these things going on, and everybody's thinking, oh, and disease comes along, and it's happening to us. You know, it's just this thing that happens to us, so we just need to let someone else come and fix the problem for us. So what led to that toxicity? Because, you know, you're saying that you're riddled with all these things. What happened?
Well, when I was 18 years old, I began working in the oil field. I worked in the oil and gas industry in the field, like as a roughneck all the way up to a tool push and a derrick hand. And then I ran downhole equipment the last 7 years. So I was all over North America working in the oil field, and I got super poisoned with lead. And plus I'd had mercury fillings in and out, plus the mercury in the air. Yeah. So I was full of heavy metals. And I was just like everyone else. That was the thing. Like you just mentioned, guys in their 40s can be very rough shape. And everyone's playing Russian roulette because there is a genetic predisposition involved. Some people cannot handle those kind of things. Yeah. Other people can eat out of the dumpster, party their face off, and live till 94. It's like, What's with that?
Yeah.
So it depends how your body's metabolizing. But regardless of whatever it is, you still have to work with whatever you're given and rely on epigenetics as much as you can.
Right.
So you want to overwrite whatever the weaknesses are. You want to find out what they are and compensate for them.
Uh-huh.
So fortunately, I had a lot of those weaknesses and learned what the simplicity of compensating for those, because
Right.
it's an overwhelming world. As soon as you go into the natural space,
Yeah.
you've got gurus, you got everybody with differing opinions. Like, who do you listen to?
Exactly. That's a minefield, and that's what everyone is confused about. And I think that's why everybody gives up their power to either, whether it's a naturopath or it's an allopathic doctor or whatever, they don't know what to do. And it's a real confusing thing, especially diet and all of those sorts of things. So what you get to this point and you've got all these things wrong with you, and you're literally now completely taking charge of everything and going, right, I've literally been given a death sentence by the Western doctors, but I'm not going to take that as the end result.
Right.
I'm going to take charge. Okay. And it's people like you that do this, the hard yards, that then pave the way for everybody else. So what is what's the next stage where you start to see changes or results, or what is it that you do and that you change that starts to show in you that you're doing the right thing and you're on the right path?
Right. Well, the first thing is you just pointed out, it's a total mind game.
Mm-hmm.
So really, this whole thing right to this moment is a mind game.
Yeah.
And your body will follow whatever is leading you in your mind, because it just will follow. And like you mentioned, diagnosis or prognosis. I have a prognosis of I've got 1,000 days left to live. Oh, cool. What? 1,000 days. So the first thing I realized, okay, well, on this timeline, which I better take seriously because maybe it's true, I could use the 1,000 days to extend that to 5,000 if I get the wisdom from people who know. Because when you're overwhelmed and you don't know, I did not know. I didn't even know where to start, really.
Yeah.
I just tried to clean up my diet, whatever that was. But as you do that, then you start to be connected. And I met some people within about in 2004, it was pretty rough because I didn't really realize what was coming. It was 2005 and 6 when it really showed up.
Yeah.
And I met some people in March of 2006 that they got me into like raw food veganism.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not
I did that for
vegan.
a bit. Yeah, I did that. Yeah.
But it was fun. It was
was
just like, wow, that's a big shift. Are you kidding? No more cooked food and vegan? Wow. Okay, let's try that. And so then I went through this whole thing where I lost about 90 pounds, but I was way down to like a skinny little man, turned all orange. I went from this fat, bloated, miserable, opinionated, know-it-all, whatever that was, to this like, okay, all the way down. People didn't even recognize me. Wow. People I'd known for 15 years didn't recognize me. And if they hadn't seen me in those months of doing that. So that was like the first kickstart, where I got away from all the nasty hormones and foods and the antibiotics and the junk, the pesticides, the herbicides, the suicides, and all those things that are sprayed on our food. And we're literally killing ourselves when we're eating poor things. So that was the first stage. And I had to go through that radical movement because I didn't have time. If I would have tried to do a few of the things that these other, I didn't like, okay, you've got time, energy, and money are your three limitations. We only have so much time, so much energy, and so much money we can spend in a day. Even if you're a trillionaire, you can only spend a certain amount of money in a day because your body can only move so quickly. And so you've got 46 years, 47, 48 years now, right? At that point, because I'm 2 years in from 04, of spending the time and the energy and the money wrong. Right. So that's being shut down. Well, the other things are being kicked in, and you better be on time. And if you don't use your time well, you're going to run out of time, and then you will be taken out. You won't make it, because there are thresholds that men and women go over all the time, and they can't come back. Their body, it's just, you can't recover. So our thing today is we want to keep everybody from ever going near that line. And whatever stage they're at, to realize that there's stage 0 through 5. Stage 0 is perfect health. Stage 4, like example, if you get diagnosed with terminal cancer at stage 4, they tell you it's terminal. Stage 5, you're gone. And you want to be on the stage 0 point something on deficiencies. You want to be to stage 0 point something on cancer and heart disease and stroke dangers and all that stuff. So that you know that you're in a safe zone physically. Yeah. Because my physical interface being taken away, it didn't matter how cool or uncool I was. If you lose your physical interface, you have no more opportunity to continue on in the land of the living. And we're given a great responsibility. Every one of us has a mission. Yeah. Every one of us has a vision. And those missions get stepped on and our visions get blurry based on toxicity. Yeah. And toxicity comes in every form, from heavy metals to fungus to poor circulation to bacterial infections to chemical overloads to getting sprayed on top of us and everything in the air. And
you told me about the car tires as well. That was blew my mind when you told me about that. Right. Yeah, the nanoparticles from the rubber in the tires on everything, on top of everything else. So we've got all of this. We've got all of this in us. Is it dire?
What's the most polluting thing? What's the most polluting thing ever, though? So I thought, okay, what do I do more than anything? Yeah, is I think more than anything. I'm always thinking more than anything else. Yeah, our thoughts never stop 24 hours a day. From the time we wake up in the morning, even during sleep, we're thinking, we're dreaming. Yeah, and our body is monitoring everything through thought patterns. Yes, it's communications, right? Yeah. Internal communications automatically in the background. So we have trillions of thoughts every millisecond. So that's the thing we do most. And what's the second thing we do most? Is we breathe. Breathe, yeah. 11,000 liters a day in, 11,000 liters a day out. That's the most intense nutrient we have. If you don't breathe, you're dead within how many minutes? Yeah. Right?
And they're trying to make us stop breathing now.
Well, that's a whole nother story. Yeah. No one's ever allowed to impede your respiratory system.
That's right.
And then the next thing you do the most of is you're pumping blood. So blood movement is the next one. The next one is drinking fluids. And then the next one is eating food. So then the next one underneath that is lymphatic, and there's all these systems. So you're looking at the most important part, which is your thoughts. So you're being flooded with thoughts from your own previous teaching and understanding. You're being flooded with thoughts from external learning, and you want to have definition. Because, man, if you're thinking about too many things, a double-minded man or a double-minded woman is unstable in all their ways.
Yeah, that's right.
They've got to be in equilibrium with the truth in whatever respect there is. And there is nothing but untruths all over the world, from the education system to the religious system to the philosophical system. I mean, this is the most destabilizing society ever.
Absolutely.
But you and I have to find, and we have thankfully been by grace found those things that began to stabilize us. Yeah. Everywhere I stepped before was unstable. And then I learned, well, how do you fill those gaps? And how do you fix those cracks? And how do you make sure you don't have an earthquake underneath you in your constitution, which is your homeostasis or homeodynamics, where your body is you're building a structure now on top of something really solid. And it's very interesting how the society is set up to destabilize you right from a child.
Absolutely. So we're just, they knew, they got us, didn't they? They got us with the thoughts and all of that. Well, I was talking to you the other day about the shedding concept. And then you said to me, well, it's, could it be your thoughts? Like, could we have just created this? And that really changed the way I was like, oh yeah, maybe I've just taken it on board as a thought and not necessarily, but you had so many things to say about that, and we went into a whole different sort of thought process about it. And it made me really realize that, we're victims to these stories that are told to us. And the truth about illness in the body, and the truth about what creates those illnesses. And then from that, you've got, because what I love about you and your story is it's not, we can see very clearly you've got a very, very strong mind, and you've really taken charge of those thoughts, and you've got very strong foundations and absolute truth and absolute, there's like, no turning back. And I love the way you say, like, I can't wear a mask and I can't take a jab. That I won't, it's an absolute, right? So you're a very strong foundation, but it's a mind, body, spirit thing with you that I really love, because people are always looking for the cure, but they're not willing to do the other stuff. But this is why I love what you've done with all of the things that have healed you and reversed everything completely and made you almost reverse age now. You said something. So how old are you now? You're
63. I turned 63 in June.
63. Yeah. And what's your biological age? Because I remember you telling me about
well, there are certain systems already at around a 25-year-old biological age.
Yeah.
And
wow.
you can measure those like cardiovascular. So your whole energetic system, there's a bunch of ways you can measure that. Now, we don't have to look like we're 25. That's not important at all, because you want to have the glow, you want to have the body communication, you want to have the presence of around a 25-year-old, because that's when you're hitting your prime in this temporal life.
Yeah.
Realistically, we're timeless 21-year-olds. Right. So because of all the things that we have to compensate for, it's very difficult to get to a 21-year-old cardiovascular, because I've seen measurements. You take something like K2 MK7, which is a vitamin. You take that, and that puts the calcium in the right place. It puts it into your bones and gets it out of your arteries. And within months, you can go and get your cardiovascular checked, and you're down around a 25-year-old. And there's no way that'll happen without that particular element.
Wow.
So, but it's defining and simplifying what do you require to do to get all the noise out of the way, all the confusion, all the over-information, all the overwhelm, and just get down to the things that are sustainable and doable for you. So that you can have the biological age of a 25-year-old, because that's the mindset, first of all.
Yeah.
The mindset of a 25-year-old. We're like 25-year-olds. I feel like a 25-year-old or a 21-year-old.
I know.
Because we are souls, but our body has been alive on the earth for X amount of time. And we can't blame that. Everybody went, well, I am 63. No, okay. What did you do with those 63 years, Ian? Right? The first 46 was not a very good one. So now you learn what to do with your time. And then you're able to have a sharp drop-off curve when you're going to pass, because we're all going to go at a certain time at the end of our mission. Yeah. We don't want to be terminated before our mission is complete. Yeah. And with lack of knowledge, we perish. So people perish from lack of knowledge. If I didn't wake up to the fact that I'm responsible and I have to govern my life, and I can't blame the government and everybody else, then I will perish from that, because I'll let everyone else tell me what to do. And they do not have my best interest in mind. It's amazing. You mentioned what we can and can't do. Yeah. Well, obviously I was able to harm myself and let everything harm me all the way along in ignorance. When I woke up and found that I'd been totally harming myself with pharmaceutical drugs, right? Antibiotics particularly, they devastated me because I took them for so many things. And I go, oh yeah, okay. So, and then you clean your body up, your body recovers, it rebuilds, and then you realize there is nothing in the pharmaceutical realm that I require. No. Nothing. As a matter of fact, I can't have it in my system because it's harmful. Pharmaceuticals are there for a reason. And they do have a reason. And it's for people who don't have the knowledge as what to do that day. And that's the only access they've got. They can only go to the doctor because they don't have time. Something terrible has happened. They've got to get those drugs. They've got to get that treatment because they don't know. They perish from lack of knowledge. And so I'm not against that realm. I just have nothing to do with it, because you have to fly above those things. And you are responsible to be able to get yourself on the grid of actual natural health and get off the grid of chemical, whatever that thing is, that synthetic, allopathic.
It's no longer part of your reality. That's basically what you're saying. It's then no longer part of your reality. So then what solutions did you find, and because we talked about so much stuff. We talked about technology and engineering and all of these things, and the people you found that did these things that created the stuff that you needed. Did you realize that there were some key things in the body that needed to be fixed for after you dealt with the mind and things like that? Did you realize that there were certain elements in the body or certain nutrients that you needed or certain things that you needed to address, key things, and then go out and find those things or create those things? What did you do exactly? How did you pinpoint it?
Well, I was really fortunate because early on in this journey, when you meet people who really know and they've kept it, they're simple and they know that you don't, and they want you to be elevated up to their level, but they can't elevate you. But I was told, hey, remember these two words. You've got to cleanse and nourish. Cleanse and nourish. Really, that's all you've got to do in the physical side, the things you're going to consume. So the things you're going to consume are either going to cause inflammation and congestion because they're burning and they're not clean, and they're going to continue to pollute all these different pathways that you have to have open.
Yeah.
Or you're going to consume things that burn super clean and have a cleansing nature to them. And then you have to make sure you don't have any gaps. You can't afford any deficiencies. And you want to be replete. So deplete or replete.
Yeah.
So replete means you're replenishing and you're focusing in on the things that are going to get the garbage out of the way, repair the damage the garbage caused, build from that from a strong foundation. So that became elements. Elements like magnesium,
yes,
iodine, selenium, zinc, silica. There's these foundational ones that are must-haves.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe the amount out there. I would go to these events like Expo West in Anaheim every year. There would be thousands of vendors with hundreds of thousands of SKUs in the health world. And everybody says they got the best. Everybody says they have stuff you need. They're all trying to sell their stuff. They're doing the best they can. So it is your job to let things be defined, to let the cream rise to the top, and to know what are the most must-have things. Because everything, when you get stuff in the way too much, you'll spend your time, energy, and money on things that are not must-have, that are like to have, shiny objects, luxury things.
Yeah.
But you'll miss the very most important thing that costs the least amount of time, energy, and money, and gives the greatest results. So when I started to see that, I'm like, okay, I was given leeway that people would never get. And I saw this happen lifetime because I never had large amounts of money to work with in my life.
Yeah.
I'd always either had a job or was a small entrepreneur, struggling entrepreneur that could almost barely make enough money to support our family. Every month, we always made it. We had a fantastic time, but never had an abundance of money. And then I found out about this thing in 2007. I learned about marine phytoplankton. And marine phytoplankton was brand new then. It's a type of algae. It's a microalgae, but it comes from the ocean.
Yeah.
I didn't even know about spirulina or chlorella or all these freshwater algae or, cyanobacteria and all these things that are promoted as being very helpful, and they're okay.
Yeah.
This was new. This was out of Europe. And it was a 40-year research that found out that there are 2 strains of marine phytoplankton out of the ocean that are the perfect match for the human nutritional profile.
Wow.
Out of 40-some thousand strains that are not useful for us. And this research was done to find biofuels and aquaculture, nutrients, and so on. Anyway, then they built these photobioreactors in Spain to make this using purified ocean water and sunlight on land. And then they could grow single strains in order to have a concentration of it. And so I just stumbled upon that right at the tail end of the highest tech development of these heirloom strains. And I thought, okay, they're heirloom, that's cool. They've never been genetically modified. They perfectly match the human nutritional profile. I want to try that. And so I took it in a powder form. And then and it really changed me. Like I noticed it was only way I could describe it then, because I didn't understand the science enough, or, very young in this at that time. Yeah. This is 2007, right?
Yeah.
I just noticed that it charged up a battery inside of me that I never felt before.
Yeah.
And I could tap into this strength. It wasn't like coffee. It was just this thing, and it took a while. And after about 3 months, I felt totally different. And then I found out how to stabilize it in a concentrated, purified sea mineral solution that comes out of Australia.
Yeah.
And so had this test done where I shipped the stuff from Australia to the guy in Europe who told me it would never work. And found out to their shock that it actually stabilizes the raw marine phytoplankton in the liquid. And when that happened, and then I started taking that, I took that down to the States because everybody in Canada told me I was nuts. Really, like they just said, yeah, this will never work. What are you doing? What do you think? It was $59 for a 1 ounce bottle US.
Wow.
And you just didn't need very much. But when I took it to the people in California, they were like, okay, what's that stuff? They were really interested.
Yeah.
That developed into a business out of our basement in Toronto with little beakers, and we set up a little clean room, and we have 7 children, right? So they all chipped in.
Oh, wow.
And we were getting orders for thousands of bottles of this marine phytoplankton. And it struck me to call it Oceans Alive. Because whatever, that's where that name stuck. And it was because this living energy from the ocean that was available to you when you would take it, as if it was just freshly harvested in the liquid form. And we did about $2.8 million in sales in the first 24 months out of our basement without any sales department, no marketing department, no company, no insurance, nothing, because I didn't even know anything about that. All I knew is that every month we were getting these demands, and we better fly it in on FedEx now, and we better tell those guys. So we're getting things flown from Australia to Europe, and then we finally figured out get it on a ship because it was costing so much money. Right? But it gave us about around $800,000 of net clear money in a bank account. That when that happened, we didn't need that money. It wasn't like our lifestyle was not an expensive lifestyle where we were living.
Yeah.
Because you're conditioned to lesser money in life, right?
Yeah.
And I woke up one morning and I went, well, that's not my money. That's the people's money who bought the product and are investing in their own health. I better be careful with what we do with this money. Mm-hmm. So we started putting the money in learning. How do you learn? If I met you, JC, at that time, you would say, oh, wow, you're actually on a journey and you're open and you're humbled and you're willing to do something cool. So, hey, you know what? You're not going to embarrass me if I introduce you to some of my friends who would really help you because you're open, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not some know-it-all that's going to think I'm trying to some hero.
Yeah.
It's like, forget the hero thing.
Yeah.
I was just thankful to be alive.
Yes.
And I knew that if I could learn all these things and then share that with people, and they had to find out about the phytoplankton because that was like the big passion at that time, because that's all I knew was that this stuff, when you take it in, it has every nutritional molecule known to man and women in research all over the world. Mm-hmm. It is perfectly compatible. You feel it very quickly after it goes in.
Yeah.
And then you see something happen over a period of time and you realize that it's a must-have. So the problem with it is it's limited in its availability. And I thought, well, why is it like that? Well, that's because only a certain percentage of the population is going to even have eyes to see or ears to hear what it is and really actually be investing in themselves and taking responsibility. That's who that's for.
Yeah.
And if anybody else finds out about it and they happen to get activated, and then I saw people who were not even interested in their health, and I would say, well, yeah, just try it. And then I had friends who had friends from school, and they would say, oh, just take it. And then it would activate that person to become a health person. That's how powerful it was. Like they were like smoking and drinking, and all of a sudden they don't want to do that anymore. And they go, wow, that feels good. And so the question is, nothing feels as good as feeling good.
Yeah.
Can you feel better tomorrow than you do today? The answer is always yes.
Yeah.
If that being true, right, is not if, it's actual, then let's see how far we can go. Let's see how good we can feel. And so I saw people get activated, and that's where Activation Products. We started this little company, and we called it Activation Products because it was activating people.
Yeah.
And all we had was phytoplankton, and then we had this transdermal magnesium that you spray in your skin, which is very high tech, but is again perfectly original element. Yeah. And we saw that move the needle. So when we saw people change dynamically and tell us so, because we didn't have anybody in between us and them,
yes,
we started an online business where we could sell direct to the consumer. It was no longer just selling to these people in California who were telling all their friends. Now I knew that if I had a direct feedback loop with people where there was nowhere for us to hide, we couldn't hide behind a distributor or a health food store. Everything we had to work. So I could tell you today, Tracy, well, you can, this is going to happen and that's going to happen. And if you
Yeah.
do this and do that. And so then I create an expectation for you so that you have a high enough perceived value to invest in yourself with that thing. It's like, okay, I think my time, energy, and money is worth it.
Yeah.
I'll do that. And then you get it. If it doesn't work, you get no received value, only a perceived value. You might get a little bit of placebo, but it's going to run out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew that when we delivered the actual physical goods, it had to be a greater received value than even what they could perceive.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I saw happen is when I started taking these elements, like especially things like the magnesium, the Oceans Alive, the iodine, they taught my body what's up, right? All this body intelligence started to increase dramatically quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, oh, that's how this works. That's how I really learn, is by consuming this stuff. It feeds my body intelligence.
Yeah.
It connects all the communication systems. It cleans all the pathways out that are plugged. It fills all those pathways with cleansing, nourishing things, right? And everything changed. And it was a beautiful, gradual thing.
This is what, like you sent me this. I've only just started using it, but that you can get, let me just put it this way. People are addicted to buying things that are going to be the cure. All right. Mm-hmm. And they're told to get this and they're told to get that. And it's like this addiction that they have this cupboard full of stuff and they think it's going to work, but that, and then they're told, oh, you have to take it for 40 days before you'll feel anything. And then, blah, blah, blah. But when you send me the magnesium oil, which I used to make magnesium oil myself.
Right.
But this is different because I have a really sore ankle. And I sprayed this on there and I did it just before, and instant, the pain's gone.
That's right.
And I use this on my daughter who has autism, and what she often kicks at night because her central nervous system is so wired up. And I spray that on her legs before bed, and I just massage that, and it's like water. It doesn't have that sticky, itchy feeling that other magnesium oil has, or it's not even like, I know they call it magnesium oil, but this literally is just like water. It doesn't have any of that horrible residue. And I put it on and then I rub chamomile and like just something to relax her and things like that. And she doesn't kick. So I see it instantly. Right. I see it happen instantly. I was thinking this is going to take a few weeks before I have to try this. And then you're right. The Oceans Alive thing, I did get a bottle. You did give me, I think the other day I had it. Now I'm hooked on coffee. The other day I thought I'm just going to take this in the morning and I'm just going to try and I'm just going to hold off on the coffee. And I didn't need a coffee.
Right.
I felt it like that. And it's this clean feeling. It's different than being energized by coffee. Right. It's completely different feeling. You're right. It's like a feeding and it's like a battery or a charger or a spark. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's what I liked about when you were saying, I mean, that's why, so many people bought the product because they could feel it instantly. It wasn't just all talk and hype, right? Right. So how long had you been taking, so if this was your first product that you developed for yourself, was that in the years where you were healing yourself, or had you already healed yourself with were these the things that you were using? Was this part of the stuff that you were using? Yeah.
The Oceans Alive was a major part of the healing journey because it allowed me to have something that could go in and cleanse and nourish simultaneously. It was also elemental. So that's not just nutrient. There's elements in there. There's every single trace element because inside your body is an ocean. Yeah. People think they're 80% water. No, you're 80% electrolytic fluid.
Yes.
Right. Lymph, blood, saliva, mucus, all these things that we have. Tears. When you cry tears, that's 1/3 strength ocean water. Yeah. It's the same pattern. So ocean is like plasma, that has the concentrated sea minerals that it stabilizes the phytoplankton that originally came out of the ocean. So you've got all your plant minerals, you've got all your trace element minerals, you have so many things happening in that little bottle.
Yeah.
It's like the full meal deal.
It's only one meal. One meal.
That's right.
Just take one meal.
1 mil. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In your dose.
You can do more. Like if you're using more brain power, but that's not a cure-all.
No.
That's complementary. Okay. So once you get your system through protocols, which are super simple protocols, and we don't have time to talk about them today, but as time goes on, we're going to release all the protocols. I've released a bunch of information so far, but it's your day-to-day new habits that are defined and simple, replacing all of the bad habits so that they're gone. It's a purging. And that's the real thing, though that doesn't cost any money. In fact, that saves people a huge amount of money on their food bill and their energy bills and things like that, because they've shifted their lifestyle to a really high level of simplicity. Yes. And they can fly above all the garbage and noise that's happening.
You're right.
The products that we ended up in the end manufacturing and becoming a primary natural products manufacturer to guarantee that the resource from soil to seal, to make sure that we know every step in between, all the 15 steps to get a product to you that's going to be at the very highest level, most efficacious possible. That became a overall moral and fiscal responsibility, because you want to make sure that what I want for me, I should want for you. So if I want the best value for the least amount of energy, expended time, energy, and money, I should want that for everyone else. And then I found out, yeah, of course, that's how it has to go, because that's the value proposition where we're building equity in you and everyone we talk to. How do we build equity? We don't give them money. We provide them the ability to support themselves to have a longer, higher quality life. So for every day that you're living past the normal lifespan, you're becoming more valuable. Like today, JC, you're the most valuable you've ever been in your life. And I'm the most valuable I've ever been. And everyone listening is at the most valuable they've ever been in their existence. Wow. Because they have it's not about how much money they have or net worth. That's irrelevant. It's one thing is wisdom, experience, knowledge, and what are you doing right now? Do you know why you're here? Do you know what you're supposed to be doing? How effective are you at fulfilling your mission that you were given from when you were born to this moment? Yeah. And the longer you live, the more that curve goes exponential. And take somebody at 77 years old, like over in North America, it's 77 average is the lifespan. Yeah, like how boring is that? What if you live till 87 with amazing health, super high vibe every day? What is that worth impactfully to not only yourself, but to every single person around you, to the ripple effect to infinity? Absolutely. You can't put a price on it. It's so valuable, it's beyond comprehension valuable. So when we are supplying people with the knowledge that I got to learn by having money, resources, not to spend on me, but to be able to go and fly and have all the expenses covered, where I wouldn't have to think about anything but meeting that next person at that higher level in that category that was a must-have, in order to implement that, to purge everything else out that was lesser than top level. And then only in the end to share the absolute top level things that everyone can implement without having to spend money. Yeah. And then where they are going to invest their money and their time and their energy in a physical product, they're only going to be tapping into the top level, because there's only 2 levels in life in the end. Once you get to the top, there's the top level and everything underneath. Yes. And no one wants to go in here unless there's just not availability for whatever reason. You want to stay up here. That's been the great battle. What are your top thoughts? What are the thoughts that purged all the wrong thinking? What are the top emotions that purged all the wrong emotions? Yeah. How healthy is your mental immune system? How healthy is your emotional immune system? Are you able to discern and filter out all the lies, all the wrong feelings that are only harming you, that stimulate fear hormones or anxiety hormones? Instead, you have the superpower hormones of stability and longevity, and your thoughts are clear and you don't get easily swayed. Yes. The super mind game. And then the body comes completely into line, because now the understanding of why and what and how, and let's get this done. and the resources are available to you.
Yeah.
Eyes to see, ears to hear,
Uh-huh.
ability, resources. You've got the access. And so when the society is trying to destabilize you, they try to make you afraid, try to get you to believe a lie, like whatever the government is supposed to be doing. And people blame the government. Oh, the government's telling us to do this. And okay, you're not governing. But what does me not being able to harm myself have to do with the government?
Mm-hmm.
They say, you got to do this and it's going to help you. No, it's going to totally harm you. You're going to impede 11,000 liters of air a day. You're going to be breathing your own bacteria back in. You're going to be breathing your own CO2. Every breath out is a toxic breath.
Yeah.
Because you're pulling nutrients in, burning them, and then letting them out. And they say CO2 is bad. Really now? Mm-hmm. CO2 is essential for every single thing. The phytoplankton consumes so much CO2. Yeah. And when the CO2 is not in abundance, they go down and they stop producing oxygen. Wow. It's the exact opposite of what we're told. Everything really is a paradox.
It is. Yeah.
And the paradox definition, what I learned, the simplest definition of paradox is whatever I thought was this my whole life because of the teaching and understanding, I found it exactly the opposite of what I thought it was. Yeah. To my amazement, after researching and finding out, what I thought was this was exact opposite. That's the way, there's so many paradoxes around us.
Incredible.
And how you are going to have a healthy, high quality, long life is a paradox. So you're always looking for the paradoxes, which we have thankfully discovered.
Yeah.
And they discovered me. And I can by no means take credit for this because I would have never gone down this road had I not hit that wall and given access to enough funds, not unlimited. If you would have given me $10 trillion, I would have got so lost. Way too many shiny objects, right? So by having limited resources in limited time, I was in a thing where I went, okay, so I'm just going to be open up to grace, to being shown, to being humbled. And humility is to call yourself what you are. If you're very talented, call it out. If you have a gift, call it out. It's for everybody else around you. It's not for ego, oh, look at me. No. You don't want to be looking up to me. You want to be looking up to the information that you can get access to. Our job is to provide access to information and materials to people so they can take charge and govern really well.
Yeah.
And that comes into every aspect of spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, domestic, financial, environmental. It covers so many, and that's just a few of the areas, but every one of those areas we want to be at the maximum level of efficiency that we can be so that we are the most valuable to everyone around us and to the environment in the world, because we truly do affect. You could have a massive effect on this earth yourself just by sharing all this information, and you are having a bigger effect than we don't even know.
Yeah.
How many things are happening in your existence right now that have brought information to you that you have shared out? There's a measuring device out there, but we're not tuned into it.
Yeah.
We see the surface level, but we're talking about literally billions and trillions of iterations that are affected by us tuning in.
Absolutely. There's so much we can talk about. I can talk about everything with you for hours and hours and hours. But I wanted to get to the real crucial things that people want and need to take charge of themselves, because I know for a fact that when I have limitations in my body, my physical body, and my brain's not going to work, I'm not going to be able to do the work for thousands of people properly if my physical body is running on low energy and it's not efficient and it's in pain, or it's making me not sleep well, or what have you. These things impact us so much, and it makes us less of an effective individual that's going to help the entire world if we don't have it running properly. And one of those things I've noticed, because I've got some friends who've had, and family members who've had, for example, their thyroid removed or partially removed, and particularly women, is iodine. And I always think about women when I think about iodine. And so this is one of the things that you've also, the technology that you came across in the way you produced it and things like that. this is one of the key things that you believe that most people should have. You told me that this, so this is your product. It's not nascent iodine and it's not Lugol's iodine. It's a, sorry, I've got it. It's very, there it is.
Perfect iodine.
Perfect iodine. This is completely, I can drink this straight and it's not the same as these other products. I know people go, oh, I can get iodine from the health food store and it's a completely different product. This, you told me, is like a carpet bomb for the body. Yes. So why is it that people are so deficient in iodine? There's so many things. So we're very deficient in magnesium, and we're usually very deficient in iodine, and we're usually very deficient in vitamin D. Is it D3?
Well, and D3 for sure, yeah. And
D3
K2.
And K2, right? These are definitely the things that we are very deficient in. So women and iodine, nearly every woman I know has a thyroid issue. Okay. And why is it that this is the best of the best? Because I believe it is. And from the way you told me that it was produced, I believe it is. You told me, I said, I had itchy ears. You said, spray some iodine in your ears. I swear to you, I sprayed it and it was gone. The itch this has been bugging me for like 2 years now. Okay. This itchy thing in my ear. I sprayed it in there and it went. The pain, the itchiness went. So tell me about this really quickly, about or however long you want to take, about the perfect iodine, and if you can give me an idea of why we need it, and yeah.
So iodine is a must-have, but that's because it's not just thyroid, and we'll get into the thyroid in a sec. Every cell in your body has iodine requirement to function. It's one of the base elements. It's a communication element. It helps to remap your neurological system. It is a major communication tool. You can't even have a tire without it. You can't have a circuit. You can't have a phone without it. You can't have a computer without it. It is an internationally essential element. And the form that it's in is really important, because you want to have it in its original crystal form. You want to have it in the smallest molecule. And having it in a waterborne solution allows your body to receive it in a completely different manner. You can spray it into your skin. You can't overdose on that form. These are Dalton molecules of I2 molecular iodine. It's totally different than anything because of its form and its flow. Lugol's has a hyper-concentrated form mixed in with potassium iodide and all these other elements. This is just a single element, which your body goes, okay, I like that coming in that way. It's like magnesium is the same. Magnesium chloride hexahydrate has to be, that's the form. There are so many magnesiums out there.
Yes.
And they all have their elements. So this particular iodine, when you consume it as a fluid or spray it into your skin, it converts very quickly because it'll react with heavy metals, it'll react with bacteria, it'll react with microbes, it'll react with fungus, which is basically mold.
Yeah.
And it reacts with other gases that are in your system. There are many toxic gases. So every time it does that, the more you take it, the more work it does, and it goes through your whole system and it finds everything.
That's the cup.
It's converting to iodide.
Yes.
From iodine to iodide. It's a chemical change.
So I can just put that in the water. It's about 5 mils. I don't measure it. I usually just take a swig because it's so, but because I can feel it absorbing. I know that sounds ridiculous. Does it, do you know, does that make sense?
You can even nebulize it. You can get one of these little nebulizers. That's a Cool Mist nebulizer. Put the pure perfect iodine in here and nebulize it. Take it into your sinuses, take it down into your lungs. It clears everything. It also, iodine is a major element the body uses to heal itself from scars, cuts, wounds, burns, any abrasions. Like you could have internal scarring.
Yeah.
Your body's the one that's going to do the healing. This doesn't heal anything.
Wow.
This is an element the body uses to heal. So the body's just crying out for, please give me the tools I need to work with. Please give me the materials. I just need them. And so when you put them in, the body automatically goes to work. And it might take a while to adjust. It might throw you off a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen people drink entire bottles of this at once.
Yeah,
right?
who's that? Somebody named Mark on live on air?
Our dear friend Mark. and so, but that's a 4-month supply.
Wow.
If you were to consume straight up other types of iodine, you could harm and even kill yourself.
Yes.
Now,
yeah.
You'd have to drink so much, like you could not harm or kill yourself with this one.
No.
This is only helpful. There's no toxicity whatsoever, and there's no chemicals, no alcohols, no nothing except for pure elemental crystal molecules of iodine. In fact, they're so small that if you take the top off the bottle, within a day and a half, the bottle is nothing but distilled water because they literally float off into the atmosphere. So that's why when you put them in, you feel them instantly.
Yes, I do.
And if you have a whole bunch of junk in your system, you might purge for a day if you drank the whole bottle.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. You didn't hurt yourself, but you might be down for a little bit. So I don't necessarily recommend that. I think people, take a teaspoon, but literally 1 ml per day. So it works out to 1 milliliter is the recommended daily allowance from the FDA in the United States and Health Canada. I'm not sure what it is in Australia or Europe, but it's probably around the same thing.
Yeah.
You go to Japan, they say 13,000 micrograms a day. What was that? It was 150 here and 13,000 there. Where's the equilibrium here?
Yeah.
Even the corrupt WHO says 1,000 micrograms a day. But what you do is you find out what works for you.
Yeah.
And then you ramp it up. You can do a teaspoon.
I do about a teaspoon. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's the kind of a thing you do more upfront to see where you're adjusting. Yep. Eventually, you can go to 150 micrograms a day when you're filled up.
Yeah.
Then you're just maintaining. And then it's a legitimate number.
And so what happens to people if they don't have a thyroid?
Okay. That goes into the iodide world. So the thyroid can only use iodide. It can't use iodine.
Yeah.
It produces iodine. The thyroid is a producer of T3, T4 iodine hormones, which convert from iodide to iodine, goes down into your endocrine system, your metabolism, your immune system, your brain function. That's your thyroid is all key around that. If people have had their thyroid nuked or they've had it removed, they have to be on Synthroid. There's just no way around it. Because the medical world took their thyroid out.
That's right.
They didn't have to have that done.
No.
They just didn't know.
This is the paradox. They cut this thing out that you need, saying we're going to cure you of this problem. Yeah.
But they do have Synthroid. Thankfully, they got Synthroid. So people can't replace Synthroid with this because they don't have a thyroid that can produce T3, T4. They got to be careful. Sometimes a thyroid just isn't working right.
Yeah.
And it can be kicked back into producing T3, T4. And the body is just deficient of iodine. But everyone's so paranoid of iodine. Oh, my doctor said I can't have it. My naturopath said I can't have it.
Oh, I can't have broccoli. It's got too much, whatever, because of the, And does it do, what does it do with the radiation? Because I know that's essential in helping us with radiation.
It's a shield.
Shield.
It shields you. Yeah, it shields every cell because you want, just like magnesium, same thing. Just like all the trace elements, it shields you because the radiation coming from cell towers, from Wi-Fi's, from wherever, right? The EMF and the RF. So people kind of get confused between the two. Radio frequency is literal electricity going through the air to your phone to that tower.
Yeah.
So it's a type of radio frequency. That's what microwave ovens run on. So microwave ovens will stimulate radioactivity so much it'll boil you and cook you.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is we're looking for a way to shield our bodies, which we can, and to keep the communication up.
Yeah.
When lesions happen with your whole communication system, and the myelin sheath can be compromised, people get multiple sclerosis.
Yeah.
All they have is cross firing from the myelin sheath because it's compromised. So there are ways with elements to get them back into your cells to have the body not have those symptoms, because those are only symptoms.
Right.
So when you go to the root cause of the problem, so elemental replenishment is super critical. Your body knows exactly what to do. You put it in there, your body's like, thank you so much. Okay, I've got 100 things I wanted to do with that, and now give me more.
It's literally,
I got 10 done
but
today.
You feel it. Like, this is the thing. It's like, I've taken a lot of supplements in my time. Okay. And sometimes I'm like a month in taking something. Why am I taking this? I'm not really feeling anything. You feel it. Like I actually feel it absorbing. And the system feels different because it feels like it's got a kickstart or something. It's going, thank you. You gave me the thing I wanted. So I've got this. Okay. So I've got the magnesium, which I swear it like everyone needs this. Everyone's deficient. You can get a blood test. You can get a blood test to test if your magnesium is deficient. It's not, it's in the tissues, right? Yeah. Blood test is not going to tell anything.
And it's a fuel. That's a fuel that you're using. So depending on your day, how much stress you've had, how much brain power you're using, especially for women. I mean, that's a must-have for men. It's a 10x must-have for women.
Yeah.
Because your hormone system is, your bodies are so sophisticated.
Yeah.
The body intelligence of a woman, I would say, is probably 10x of a man, because you can produce a child. Every second of every day, the hormones are changing. You're going through your 28-day cycles.
Yeah.
You're way more like, look how much a woman can read her body health-wise more than a man. You know, the analogy with me was like a man's like a coat hanger with tinfoil, and the woman's got that big satellite dish, right? It's like, oh, okay, a totally different world.
Yeah.
Therefore, you're going to be burning fuel in a different manner,
right?
And you need more than we do,
right?
So it's getting those elements in and supporting your own body's intelligence. Your body's so intelligent, and you are so intelligent. Don't ever underestimate that. It is exponentially intelligent. So you're simply getting better access to the intelligence that got blocked by a lack of elements.
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about.
Exactly. So the iodine, these are essential. So this is the magnesium. Then we've got the perfect iodine. You talked about Oceans Alive. There was something else I just wanted, because I wanted to show everyone everything that you developed that got you into this perfect health. And Oceans Alive. And you have your own farm, don't you? Do you guys run a farm? You have your own, I'm sorry.
Well, we bought a farm in 2010, and my wife was raised on a farm.
Oh, wow.
In a pretty poor family out in Alberta. And so she was organic by default. And she was this incredibly strong, beautiful young woman when I met her fresh on the farm when she was 19. Yeah. And so I dragged her off into the city when we got married when she was 21. And we had 7 children in the city environment. I didn't have a clue, right? She had some clue, but that got pushed down. And then finally I realized, let's get this woman back on the farm. And that's her element. And boy, she's shone. And she's over ambitious and overworks. Yeah. Which is a bit of a thing, but yeah, it's really, really cool to know that we have a food supply that we know exactly where it all comes from on a day-to-day. Yeah. So that's made you, that's the thing, that's you're replenishing and you're cleansing as well. You're saying cleansing. The other thing that I take, and because I know I need it. I know even though we've got beautiful sun here in Australia, and we always talk about D3 or vitamin D, but it has to be with K2. And if I can show, I have the worst ability to show. There you go. I have the worst ability to show things close up on my camera. But that's the bottle there. Now, I've worked out that just this, I literally just go pretty much, if I can feel that whole dropper is about 17 drops. Okay. So which is what the dose is. Okay. And so it's vitamin K2 and D3. Is that right? It has to be together. And this is the one you were talking about. And it's in organic MCT oil, which is, is there a reason for that? I can't remember. It's just a convenient delivery system because it's do no harm. Yeah. And it has no taste. Oh, great. Yes. So, it doesn't. It goes in really easy. Yeah. I gave some to my daughter because she needs the vitamin D3. She's a little bit deficient. So the reason why I love that, oh no, hang on. I was going to say something about that most people are deficient in vitamin D3. It's very easy to take, but tell us about this. That's right. You were saying about how it takes the calcium deposits out and puts it into the bones. Is that right? I can't remember. Yeah. Yeah, because D3 makes the calcium available K2 is a director.
Right.
So if you have calcium building up in the cardiovascular system, making the arteries hardened,
Yeah.
that ages you very quickly.
Ah,
It directs the calcium to
stiffness.
come back out
Yeah.
and to go into the bones. So the D3 making it available is one thing, but if you don't have the K2 MK7, now this is a very specific form of K2 MK7 that comes from a company called Kappa.
Mhm.
So we bring it into Canada, we put it together with the D3. The D3 comes from lichen. Most D3 products come from lanolin, which is from sheep's wool, the oil in sheep's wool.
Mhm.
So we didn't go that direction. We went to a vegan source of it, not because I'm not a vegan, and you know, I don't like titles anyway.
Mhm.
People have a lifestyle that they feel works good for their body. That's what's important. No
Mhm.
titles, no entitlement, no boxes.
Mhm.
But it is a vegan source. That's fine. It just means it's not an animal source. But the lichen sits under the sun and it grows on rocks.
Yes.
And it's super pure. You can literally eat lichen.
Yeah, we've got a heap here in the mountains. It's everywhere. All the lichen,
Yeah.
all in the trees. Yeah. Yeah.
But the K2 MK7 is the most important because what is the place that manufactures it in its purity level, but efficacy?
Mhm.
Most K2 MK7s that we saw in the market when we saw the testing
Mhm.
had either no effect at all.
Yeah.
It just said it had it in there and it depleted down, or it had a 3-hour half-life and it was not a trans factor. There's a thing called cis and there's a thing called trans factor. So trans factor means it's going to get into your cell and be fully available to you.
Mhm.
That particular K2 MK7 has a 72-hour half-life. That means for sure it's going to be full strength for the first 24 hours you take it. You
Yeah.
take it every day, it's going to have the greatest effect continuous. You're not going to be wasting time, energy, and money. And CAP is the only company in the world that guarantees that level with clinical studies and proof scientifically. Plus, it's a super original natural product. So and the more you take of it, the better.
Yeah.
Now we're
Wow.
also going to bring out very shortly a
Yeah.
higher concentrated K2 MK7. So you know the amount that's in there for the RDA,
Yeah.
that's a maintenance dose.
Wow. Okay, so I could take
Amp it
double.
up for a while.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, you amp it up
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Good.
you'll see a very quick change in your whole feel of cardiovascular communication energy when you have a larger amount to start with. That's why we're bringing it a more concentrated. Now, people can go out in the sun. They're not going to get enough D3 from the sun because people just don't get the exposure.
No, they don't.
And you can't wash your skin after you're in the sun. You have to let it soak in. There's a whole bunch of reasons. I use a UVB light that I stand in front of 8 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
It gives me a full concentration. Like after I have a shower in the morning, it's 8 minutes, 2 minutes on 4 sides of my body. And within 30 days, my D3 levels were above even the normal range. And they're like, hey, you should stop taking vitamin D supplements. I'm like, I don't take a vitamin D supplement, right?
Wow.
I mean, I don't need it because I just take K2 MK7, but very few people have access to these lights that you can stand in front of. But that's the very best. But when you don't, and you're not getting enough sun, the D3 is a must-have.
Right.
But the K2 MK7, it is such a must-have element for your overall longevity and quality of life that this is a dated. I don't want to ever miss a day for the rest of my life without having that going in my system.
Yeah, I have to line these up and make sure that I'm taking them because I know I need them. The other thing that you gave me was to try, which I've known about for a long time, which is the black cumin oil.
Yes.
Now, I only just found out like yesterday, I think, or the day before, when you guys sent me an email. This is like a cough syrup, or you could use it. There's so many things that black cumin seed oil can be used for. One of them, you definitely told me to take this for the symptoms I was having, which I believed was shedding. You told me to take this. And there's so many reasons why we should take the black cumin seed oil. And can you tell me a little bit about it? And also even the way you make these and the other oils that you have is completely different than any other extraction process or, basically whatever you want to call it, the manufacturing process. That's what I wanted to say. Tell me about the black cumin seed oil really quickly.
Well, this is an ancient seed, a spice that comes out of the Middle East, they can call it. Whether that's the Middle East or not, I don't know. But, countries like Egypt, India, even like, Asia.
So they call it, I think, Kalonji, I think, in India. Yeah.
Well, Nigella sativa, that one term,
And
Nigella
Nigella,
sativa,
yeah.
is often referred to as just black seed oil, not even black cumin, but it's actually black cumin.
Yeah.
And the claim is that it cures everything except for death.
That's right.
I don't make that claim.
No.
I don't even like those.
I think that was the Quran. I think in the Quran.
Right. Yeah. I don't like looking at a product as a cure at all.
No.
But it is a whole body tonic. And so when you consume it, it supports lung health, pancreas health, skin, joints, helps your liver get cleansed. It does so many things. It's like, okay, it's a whole body tonic.
Yeah.
And the body just loves it. It knows what to do with it. It also goes against mold and parasites, and it has all these elements to it. I like to take it with the honey. And actually, I just recently got a whole shipment of honey in. This is super rare. This is 4 times more medicinal than the strongest manuka.
Oh, what?
Okay, it is. Yeah, it's over the top. And there is tree honeys out of Greece. This is the strawberry tree honey. There's different ones. Wow. And different times of the year we can get different shipments. We just got a shipment in. The stuff sells out right away. Wow. But we only get thousands of bottles. We don't get tens of thousands of bottles. So I take a teaspoon of this, and it's usually about 30 minutes before bed, because it just does something with your sleep quality.
Yes, it does.
And then right away I take a teaspoon of the honey after.
Yeah.
And honey with this is like, they're buddies. And the body absorbs all of the honey, and anything that's unwanted in your body also likes honey.
Yeah.
So it gets the honey and the black cumin in sooner. Right. It's a pair for sure. They're a team. And people will immediately notice a lot of different, like in the back of the throat, like you mentioned, the cough syrup. Well, what you want to do if you do have a cough, you want more stuff to come out. You don't want less. You don't want to suppress it. You want to okay, let's help this get out. So it helps it really clear. People have had the worst sore throats, and they'll gargle it for a minute. And you can do that because you don't have to hold your breath. You're just tipping it, you're putting it straight in. It's annoying. If you have some problems in your throat, I don't like it, boy. It's like, ooh, this is because it's doing so much work in all that flesh back there. Yeah. Because in there is where you can absorb a lot of garbage. Yes. People get tonsillitis, and it helps with that. It just goes in and does so much work quickly. It alleviates a sore throat in a short period of time. Right. The fact that it's working with your bronchioles, and it just does something with the lungs. Yeah. It's and of course respiratory is well. So this isn't a must-have, because everybody's wanting to have something that's going to. Is getting right. That's getting more difficult to get. It is serious business. We are. Wow. I'm telling you, it is like the shipping supply chain issues in the world right now are really, we're feeling it. Yeah. So we have a container of that being loaded on a ship right now. Yeah. And we are anxious about that. We're getting low in supply. I'm hoping that this is going to. A lot of things. I'm hoping. We had to fly Oceans Alive in. We had to fly it in last week. We couldn't allow it to come on a ship. Oh my goodness. So, do you think that'll be alleviated soon? I think maybe by the end of the year, because certain countries are sort of, reducing their restrictions and things like that with shipping. Hopefully, give me fingers crossed over the next 2 months. And then really quickly, because I didn't ever ask you about this. I forgot to ask you about the amaranth oil and the sea buckthorn seed oil. Okay, and the way you guys extract these things, when you get them manufactured, it's a very gentle thing. It's not damaging the oils or the structure or anything like that. Okay, so this is why these are okay, because we were talking in another show about seed oils and how damaging they are. And we were talking more about canola oils and those sorts of things. Well, pretty much all seed oil. Yeah. All seed oil is got a really bad name because of how they process it. The cold extraction process they put it through does a lot of damage to the oil. So what our technology that we use for making sure that the oil in the seed is not damaged. Adulterated oil is what causes the problems. Yeah. Unadulterated is what does not. So we started out with this German technology back in 2013, and it went through iterations until this Polish guy showed up. His name is Matt. And he just has a gift So he looked at the most advanced German technology that there was in the press world, which is really good. And he took it to the max. And that happened over the last 24 months. When he did that, the power usage of the press went even down lower, no friction, no shearing. And we're producing this ultra pure, undamaged oil. The amaranth is one of the most difficult oils to produce in the world.
Wow.
It is this tiny little seed, like a rock.
Yes.
And it's got 3% oil. And so one bottle has so much value within it. Is only 1 ounce is what you need, just a tiny amount. Amaranth means like forever lasting.
Wow.
And it is a super food to start with. It's an ancient seed grain that you get oil, but it has no gluten.
Yes, that's right.
That thing makes a difference. Like you can do it externally, internally. So it just allows the body to really bring itself to a youthful state.
Yeah. I think I've been using this in some of these oil products on my skin because we use some of that in there. The sea buckthorn oil. What does that do?
Cool. So that is one of these things that comes, like that's an ancient plant. It comes from a 500 to 600-year-old bush, 15,000 foot elevation in Tibet.
Oh.
A friend of mine has a 24,000 acre farm. She is one of the most remarkable young women I've ever met in my life. Her and her dad, built this company. It's pharmaceutical purity level, because they have another company in Hong Kong that does pharmaceutical stuff.
Yeah.
So she is not into pharmaceutical at all. She's into natural only. But they took the same intense restrictions. And they do an extract, and we do the blend in Canada. That is the purest form of sea buckthorn seed oil I've ever seen. Only 1% of that is fruit oil. The one you really want is the seed oil.
Yeah.
That's what delivers for your joints and your skin and your hair. And you can put it external, of course, that's an external oil and an internal oil. And you don't need much. Like, again, that's a very concentrated oil. Yeah. And you'd have to look it up because we don't have time, JC, on the show to go through the whole list. Is a long list. But that one's another, that's just one of those must-have, want to have luxury products all in one.
Yeah. So I'm going to just really quickly, can you see that? Yeah. We're just on the product. This is the Australian site. So there is different sites depending on where you are. Okay. But I wanted to just quickly get people to see this. So this is the company you produced, and this is the activation products. And this came, and every time you make money, you've been investing it back into the company because you believe that this is for the people so that they can have the best of the best. So we've got, depending on where you are, some of the products have been hard to get. I know you were talking to me about Solaris. That was another product that you said would be essential for these times for people. Let me see if I can see it in Australia because it may, there it is. So Solaris is there. I just wanted to quickly, that's the plant sterile extracts. And so was this
that's hyper concentrated?
Yeah, but you were saying that this was great for protection against what's going on at the moment in the world with these.
This is a detoxifier. So anything that's in the body that's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Any synthetics, anything that is not biologically natural.
That's right.
That one's going to go after.
Yeah. So nano things or metallic things that shouldn't be there. Solaris is the thing to get, right? So depending on
it's an Ayurvedic, it's an ancient Ayurvedic remedy. It's clove, thyme, rosemary, and oregano, but it's in a form that it goes right into water. When you see it do that, it's going to go into your cells. Like, don't take that one straight.
Yeah.
You can. I did it when I first got it. I put 42 drops in my mouth. And then I read the bottle and it said 3 drops. My entire mouth and throat.
You did an Atwood. You did an Atwood. You did a Mark Atwood, right? Yeah. It's you go all out. Yeah, this is fantastic. I just and so people can go to the website. I did have I'm going to share a link in this video And we did get, you're very kind, Brandon organised a special code for the customers that are, or the viewers that are watching this. And this is Quantum Truths 20 is the code. And you're going to give 20% off, 20% off
Yes.
any products. And it's got one use. So the code can be used once, 20% off any of the products, one use per customer. And I think that obviously it's not going to work with other codes, so you can't put code on top of code. But
Yeah.
this is fantastic. So I'm going to put that in the links below. And I want everyone to check this out, because I don't talk about these things unless I truly believe them, and if I actually trust the person, and if I've used them. It's taken me, I've wanted to talk to you forever, and we did talk quite a bit, but I had to do that first because I had to believe in it, and I know, and I can attest to the fact that all of these things work, and they work instantly. And so I want people to check out activation products, and I'm going to put the links below. Is there anything else you want to say, Ian? Because we've been talking a long time and I can talk to you forever. But what do you want to leave everybody with? What is it that you want to say before we say goodbye?
Everyone, you and everyone in your audience and myself, we're all full of love, and it's love for ourselves. Mask on first, oxygen mask, not the other mask, and then make sure everybody else gets oxygen. And because the more you love yourself without being egotistic or selfish or self-centered, the love for yourself is then actually for everyone else. So we're here to spread the love, and it's not some gushing sentimental thing. It's just real. And the true love is where we emanate all of our energy to serve others. We serve God by serving others. We love God by loving others, and people can interpret that however they want. But all of us are here to bring super value, and the way you bring super value is by increasing your own personal value, and invest in yourself, invest in your being. So therefore, then you're so much more clear, more you. Your physical interface, your vibe, who you are. You want to be a super clear signal to noise ratio. The least amount of noise, the most amount of signal. Right. And that's what we are here all to do for one another. And always please share back in this direction as well. When you have, we all have knowledge, and we all have knowledge in different areas, and your whole audience is just a wealth of knowledge.
They're amazing.
And that's why they're tuning into you, because they're already seekers. They're already at a level, and they care about themselves. And we only have bandwidth to care about those who care about themselves. And the more you care about yourself, the more you can care for others. So that's really the long and the short of that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ian. And I'm so glad you did the hard yards for us so that we can learn from you. And now you've done the work, and that's what's here. That's what you've come with, the best of the best, the cream of the crop in your products. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for telling everyone and empowering them as well. And I want to talk to you again, but let's leave it at that, and we'll say goodbye to everyone. So remember, everybody, the links are in the description below. I'll also put it in the pinned comments. And just make sure you share this video with as many people as possible as well, that you think will get some benefit from hearing Ian's story, because you can take charge of your health and completely turn it around. Really, this is the answers here. And that's what we're trying to teach everybody, is that it's time to change the system that we came from and really just take sovereignty over ourselves in every way, shape and form. Thank you, Ian, and thank you for talking with us today. See you later.
Thank you, JC. It's been a pleasure.
See ya.